Merci et bonjour. But now I want to speak in English because unfortunately the French language was most popular in Poland in the 19th century, by the way, where Poland doesn't exist as a nation, but yes, it is also related with geopolitical development of my country. I want to make some generalization. I'm not a specialist focused on the Balkan region, but make some generalization related to the title of my speech. The Balkans remain the most unstable region in Europe that has undergone significant geopolitical transformations on the borderline of the late 20th and early 21st century. Therefore, the term of Balkanization has become a kind of synonym for extreme fragmentation. The states of Balkan Peninsula are characterized by contradictory combination of modernity with the past, which leads to the emergence of socio-economic and political multi-settlement, aggravation and overlap of internal heterogeneous conflicts, which eventually led to the redistribution of borders and formations of new independent states. In particular, this concerns the problem of determining status of Kosovo and the settlement of inter-ethnic and regional confrontations. This is also where the most unstable blurred border between Christian and Muslim civilization, with instability, high levels of conflict between different ethnic groups and confession. The modern Balkan zone are a zone of strategic control where the interests of the great power collide, because the geopolitical position, location at the junction of three continents and access to the Adriatic, Black, Aegean and Ionian seas provides ample opportunities for the great powers. After the collapse of Soviet Union, with the support of North Atlantic Alliance countries, the Muslim Croatian Bosnia and Herzegovina withdrew in 1992. By December of 1998, a wave of separatists swept through the autonomous region of Kosovo. But most important and symbolic moment in those times are the NATO intervention in 1999 against Yugoslavia in the name of the doctrine of human rights, replacing conception of sovereignty, which was the symbolic end of the Yalta-Potsdam Order, which formally ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. This changed radically perception of whole global world order. The aggression against international law, the information war, the bombing of Chinese embassy and the outrising of Russia from the Balkans sealed the domination of the West. The entry of China into the World Trade Organization in 2001 and recognition of the new Russian President Putin as a democrat by President Bush Jr., together with his declaration of Putin in the Bundestag that the Cold War was over, proved that the new American century prepared by American neoconservatives would have no strategic opponents. This period is particularly important to me because it was then that my awakening to the essence of geopolitical competition occurred. In my second year of political sciences studies in September 2000, I attended a conference in Yugoslavia, resulting in the article, except of which I would like to quote. Yugoslavia is no longer the attractive tourist destination it was a dozen or so years ago. The wars in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the secession of Slovenia and Croatia, meant that the truncated territory of the state with its capital in Belgrade appeared to the average person as a country under martial law, inhabited by Serbs, hungry for the blood of the other nations, a country ruled by the authoritarian ruler, the hated symbol of enslavement, Slobodan Milosevic. The International Congress of Slavic Youth, which took place from 8 to 10 September 2000 in Aranđelovac in Yugoslavia, about 80 kilometers south of Belgrade, showed that the internal and international situation is diametrically opposed to the one fed to the post by media in those times. But in 1,120 kilometers separates the capitals of the former ideological partners from behind the eastern part of the Iron Curtain, Warsaw and Belgrade. At the dawn of the 21st century, there is more than distance separating these countries. Poland in those times started to be a member of NATO and declared and be a part of intervention in Yugoslavia in the name of democracy. And last fragment of my paper was the Looking at the huge breach in Novi Sad at night, bombed by American planes, one wonders whether the Balkan nightmare, which has accompanied human history for the last 10 years, is over, and whether the visit of Bulgaria by the CIA chief who was expelled from Belgrade is just a tourist trip. That is finish of my quotation. So my perspective is related to my, very important part of my development of my thought, and see more concrete and more realistic the geopolitical situation all around the world. 30 years later, situation radically changed. The hegemony of United States is over, and multipolar world order developed before our eyes. We could ask, is there a possibility that situation with Balkans would lead to symbolical and analogical situation like it with the history of the companion wagon of Marshal Ferdinand Foch? Let me remind you that in 11 November of 1918, together with the German minister Erzenberg, ratified the army stance on the Western Front but after the total defeat of France in the French campaign at the Second World War, the Germans found the wagon and forced the defeated to sign the armistice precisely in it, highlighting how roles have been reversed in relation to the first armistice. On the 22nd July of 1840, the Franco-German armistice was signed in the same wagon. So it is about the role of symbolics in global geopolitics, which we should always remember and take it time to time into our account. When it comes to the next aspect of my presentation about the main actors in the Balkans, I think that many of the content which I want to told you is already mentioned, and I will focus on the most important actors, great players in this region, which is United States, European Union, China, and Russian Federation, but not as such important player as it was 30 years ago, or rather during the time of Soviet Union. The region is entering a phase of infrastructural renewal. It is stimulated both by the European Union and external players, such as China, purchase of 21% stake in the port of Piraeus, Russian Airways projects in Serbia, United States and Turkey, Arab Emirates. Although this renewal is catching up and possibly half-hearted, it is a fact, and it is taking place in all countries connected to the so-called European Corridor X. Economic investment can be linked to the political commitments to local elites, and not only by the European Union, which ties its economic assistance to political and legal reform commitments. In general, the Balkans are regaining their transit role. They are becoming an important territory from the point of view of the Belt and Road Initiative. The realization of the Turkish Stream project is also a fact important. That is why it is reasonable to include Greece in Balkans today as an entry point for Chinese logistic, Russian, Turkish and European gas pipelines. But when it comes to changing world order, the geostrategical contradictions are those lays between China and United States as a basic challenge of changing new world order, which the first one, the China, is supported by Russia as a part of counter-hegemonic bloc for new era. I named this bloc using the category which is present in Chinese narration. And new era, when we analyze this, it is not related only to the changing world order. It is not related, from my perspective, to the end of American century, but a new era means the era of ending of Western power domination, which take for last 500 years, which Ministry of Foreign Relations of Russia agree with that and spoke about this few weeks ago. And the second, of course, United States is related. Politics is the European Union is part of collective West, which we observe the relation democracy against autocracy alliance, which are new combination geopolitical code of collective West. When it comes to United States, the main interests of US place in expansion of military presence through the establishment of new military bases in Albania, Greece and other countries of southeastern Europe, in the long-term regrouping of NATO's southern flank. Strengthening its economic presence in Central and Southeastern Europe, promoting alternative energy projects, creating its own logistic chains, creation of new mechanisms of political interaction in the region. We could make the assumption that this integration process that have been taking place in the Balkan region in recent years are a geostrategy of the United States, which is endeavor to prevent the integration of Balkan countries into European structures and consequently the European Union's control over them. On the other hand, the US wants to push Russia out of Balkans finally, and now also China. The different aspiration of European Union which is related to geoeconomics expansion, which means political stabilization of the region, settlement of territorial contradictions, involvement of the European Union in the international integration paradigm, but without guarantees for membership. Of course, the problem for it is, first of all, the first big economic crisis of neoliberal globalization in 2008, which stopped this aspiration and, first of all, stopped the fate of humanity, that the free market and neoliberal is best way, universal way to resolve problem of every state, and that's why we observe the growing of Europe skepticism in Balkans. It is very, of course, also important problem from the point of view of European Union development, expansion and control over the region. According to the Juncker plan announced in February 2018, the admission of new Balkan countries to the European Union, specifically Serbia and Montenegro, is possible only after 2025. In the declaration of the Sofia summit, European Union Western Balkans 2080, the terms integration and enlargement were already absent. The Zagreb Declaration adopted at the May 2020 summit continued this line and did not apply the terms enlargement, membership and accession. Limiting candidate countries' expectation of membership prospects in turn affects the European Union's geopolitical status in the region, increasing the Balkans country motivation to develop relations with Russia and China. And of course, as an opposite side, for collective West, which are now defending their hegemony, of course, Washington hegemony, with European Union is a part of this process. We observe the functioning and developing of counter-hegemonic bloc, which of course the China is main actor, and China invested $32 billion euros in the region in 2009 to 2021. That 10 billion of euro investment reached in Serbia alone. However, despite inflows of Chinese capital, the European Union remains the leading economic partner with 70% of total foreign direct investment and 81% of exports. So it is most important aspect and actors related to the geoeconomy. But of course, real geopolitics and real geoeconomy, it is for every actor to have the possibility to change their position, to change their attitude, change their geopolitical code related to their newly realized and highlight interest of in a world or regional stage. So especially important from this perspective of today's struggle for a new multipolar world order is Serbian-Chinese good relations. Of course, Chinese remember action of NATO into 1991, and this accident bombing the Chinese embassy. It is, of course, very important. We should remember that Chinese diplomacy and memory is very, very good, because they have, you know, experience for 1,000 years of building empire. So this is very important, and it influenced Chinese activity toward Balkans and Serbia as a main supporter of Chinese geopolicy. There are, of course, many different data, but of course, we observe also developing of military ties between Chinese and Serbia. We, of course, we observe building of soft power of China by setting up Confucius institutes in all West Balkans states. And in last years, very important moment, critical moment for all humankind, Corona crisis, coronavirus, which I have named this as a Corona crisis era, 2 years. And according to the motto, the true friends are made in poverty during the pandemic in 2020, followed by an export ban of medical supplies. Serbia President Vučić took advantage of the general disappointment. He openly criticized the lack of solidarity of European Union, praised China, and declared that Serbia would turn to China, who as he argued, was the only one who can help. When doctors arrived in Belgrade from Beijing, Vučić kissed the Chinese flag, a picture which ended up on the front of page of Serbian media. So this also is a symbol of different attitudes among the states at the Balkans. And of course, Serbia, which is supporting and have good relation with China and Russia, are the special country, because is at the other side very criticized by the European Union. And a very important example of competition between Chinese and United States in this region was building two now contradictory excuse me formats. First, the China's built in 2011 the format 16+1, which was, by the way, held in Warsaw, and Poland in those times was perceived with Beijing as a leader of global Europe, and China perception was to, yes, conclusion, of course. China perceived this region, which take into account all region, not only 12 European member states, 13 NATO countries, but the few countries of Balkans which are not part of this Western-controlled institution. And then it was created the 3 Seas initiative, which from 2018 started to be an instrument, especially of United States to get out of Chinese and get out of development of Chinese geoeconomical strategy, which was aimed at the weakening of influence of Western states in these peripheral states. Time flies, so I must come to an end. I couldn't now speak about my Russia, which I know a lot of it, because my PhD was about Russia. But the conclusion, which is related to the title of my speech, is that we should admit that the Balkans now wouldn't be in the short term of region where the most important processes related to the building multipolar world order will arise. The Ukraine and the Middle East could be seen as much more important in this matter, which is obvious nowadays. However, the position and the situation in Serbia could be another conflict between defending the hegemonic collective West and counter-hegemonic alliance of new era connecting the China and Russia, especially that there are some assumptions that Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina are positive looking at the BRICS, which start to developing from 1st January 2004, but probably without Argentina. Thank you for your attention.